Hey everybody, Nick here, and today, well, I want to show off something kind of cool. As many of you may know, this knife right here is a Holt Bladeworks Specter. That's right, Holt Bladeworks. This is a husband-wife team based out of Iowa, here in the U.S. of the A. They've got the big CNC mill out in their garage, and they are putting out some really, really amazing knives. And this is their first model, so to speak, the Holt Bladeworks Specter. I did a review of a first-generation Specter, then I looked at a second generation, and now I've got this guy, which is a third-generation Specter. The differences between second and third generation, one is huge, but this is a really, really impressive little knife for a bunch of different reasons. I mean, not only is it a good functional tool with really nice ergonomics, a nice cutting blade, etc., they've got a really nice adjustable detent system in there. You can see it right inside there that allows you to adjust the detent to whatever hardness you'd like, while being in a position where it feels safe rather than dangerous. They've got good clips, they've got great construction. Overall, the Specter is an amazing knife, and it's evidence of just how much good can come out of two people with a CNC mill in their garage, just doing their best to overthink everything and make the knife that's as great as they can. I'm a big fan of the Holts, and as a result, when I first got my first generation Specter on the table, I jumped back on their books because I figured I wanted to do something a little fancier with them. I saw that they had this kind of skill. It was like, okay, I like this. First generation had a couple little things that bugged me, but I like this a lot, and I'd like to get, on your books for something later, and I did. But I told them, as I tell every maker, when I try and jump on books, I am at the last, put me at the back of the list, so to speak. I don't want the special treatment from the YouTube, etc. I don't want to be, jumping ahead of line, and frankly, I've got a bunch of knives already. I'm a lucky man, so don't push it. Let's work on this as it's easy for you guys. And indeed, we've worked on this for a little while, and when it started out, I was just going to do a prestige grade Specter, something like that. Then they said, "Hey Nick, we're working on a Bolsterlock. Is that something that's interesting to you?" Well, yes, it is. And so they said they were going to be doing a small run of Bolsterlocks, and I jumped in there, and we batted back and forth some ideas. We've been kind of talking about this probably for like a year and a half. And again, this is not a complaint. I've been at every step telling them, guys, do what you got to do. Grow your business, work with your other customers, or you can get to me when we're ready. Well, we've been talking, we finalized some things, and now finally, they're ready. And yesterday, didn't have a time to film the video yesterday, but yesterday I went to the post office, and I picked this up. This is a box from Holt Bladeworks, in case you can't tell. Yeah, right there. Holt Bladeworks. Inside this box, there is some very exciting things. This is the wrench for their adjustable detent system. Works great, by the way. This is the authenticity card, signed by the makers, as well as with a little NFC tag sort of thing in there that allows you to check the authenticity of the pocket knife. Not that I think anyone's faking this one. But underneath there, this is the exciting part. The Holtz and I, we worked on this. We came up with design iteration. They said, oh, Nick, hold on. I think this works a little bit. Oh, and so, this has been very collaborative. And finally, we settled on a design. I paid them pretty handsomely for it. And we ended up coming up with this little guy. This right here is my Holt Bladeworks Specter Bolsterlock. Check this guy out. Now, immediately what we can see here is that this is a Bolsterlock. Sorry about the heater fan over there. What we can see is that instead of just having a single titanium scale, there is an overlay here. This overlay is actually Damascus steel. It is a Damascus style steel, pattern welded for Damascus steel. And it is beautifully mirror polished in one of the very best of ways. That's a great thing. What we can also see is that the finish is a little bit different. Although this has some reflectivity in the titanium, what we have here is a burnished titanium finish. And so you can see here that the individual light source, the titanium itself, is actually a little bit reflective through the anodization. And so you get a very different color in the anodization when there's light shining on it from another angle. If we deploy the blade here, we see not only absolutely amazing action, but we see a matching Thor Damascus steel blade. It's always tough to show this off in pictures because, getting the right lighting and whatnot, but we have a beautifully polished and a matching mirror polished Damascus steel blade and handle right here. So the whole thing feels like it flows together as one piece with just this little bit of blue in the middle there, which is very impressive. Complete with a mirror polish flat. Hold on, let me clean off the fingerprint, so to speak. A beautiful mirror polish on that. Holy crap. And then we flip the knife over and we see the same thing on the other side. Not only do we have another set of mirror polished Damascus steel, but we have a mirror polished Damascus steel clip as well. Holy crap. This is pretty cool looking. But we see that not only is it, using some fancy materials, but there's more to good knife making than fancy materials, as I think many people are, continuing to see in the community as we speak. But what we can do here is take a look at some of the details. I mean, to start with, look at the fitting of this inlay here. If we look very carefully, we can see that there are practically no gaps at all in this. This is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful fit on this inlay. It is dropped in such a way that it is just right in there, and that's a beautiful thing to start with. Next thing that we see is that the inlay itself isn't just a piece of Damasteel. Instead, they have machined it using some of the same patterns as the titanium. So you can see actually that the lines even line up. As we go from the Damasteel to the titanium, we have these lines that continue from here over to here, that continue from here over to here. They have done all of the machining they would do then. Similarly, they've done a nice little bit of chamfering here. They have done the Damasteel here in the same basic pattern and same basic handle layout as the titanium, meaning that you get one cohesive look, even though we change materials right here practically gaplessly. We can see that because this is Damasteel, you can see the wonderful transitions. If we look at the side of the clip right here, take a look at that. You can see an internal cut-through of the Damasteel. And perhaps even more dramatic is that same thing as we look at the very back of the tang of the blade here. That right there is what happens when you etch the Damasteel along the back. And similarly, we can see this is a cross-section through the material. This is how you can tell if you're looking at an actual Damascus pattern welded style steel rather than something that's just laser etched on there, because it happens, it's three-dimensional. This whole process the pattern is throughout the entire blade, even if only parts of it are exposed on the surface. This is a really, really impressive little piece there. But you'll also see that they mirror polish the flats. This is a beautiful thing, not only for aesthetics, but it also means that the knife is way smoother, because if you etch the bearing race, well, you're going to have a bad time. And the tent bulge track is fully unetched. The action on it is 100% totally on point. This is right out of the box. Hasn't been carried more than an evening, but it is absolutely just perfect. This is something that is very, very impressive to me. I mean, not only is it a beautiful chunk of materials, but the materials are done right. They have done everything that they need to make sure that this is not just something that is made of attractive stuff, but is made with mastery. I cannot even fathom, well, actually I can, because I kind of paid for it. Nonetheless, I can't fathom the amount of time that they spent doing things like this hand polish on the Damascus. They etch it out and then they polish over it. And it is a beautiful polish. They have really gone the extra mile to ensure that this knife is not just a festival of materials, but it's a festival of materials that is done completely right. I am very, 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 very impressed by this knife. Really, the only complaint that I had about it is that the clip was a little bit too, there wasn't quite enough tension, so I took it apart, I bent the clip a little bit, and now it's freaking perfection. I am really impressed here. The Holts have absolutely outdone themselves, but they've shown themselves, and I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy here, but they were kind of a class of CNC sorts of machinists. This is one of the things you see very commonly from, especially in overseas makers, but even, domestic folks who are really, really good at running a CNC machine. But when the time comes to do the finishing, to do the polishing, to do those really high-end bits of fitment, they kind of fall flat a little bit. And so you end up with things that are beautifully and intricately machined, but when you put them together, maybe aren't quite as nice as the sum of the parts. This shows that they are not only able to do the incredible CNC machining, but that they are able to do that and to follow it up. To follow it up with great finishes, to follow it up with great finishing, to follow it up with, well, just greatness, generally speaking. And as a result, this is a knife that I'm not going to review because, A, it's custom, so that, well, custom-ish. It's still a production knife, but, it's not like you're going to run out and get one. But more importantly, I'm probably too biased at this point. I had a hand in picking out all of the various materials, and that's one of the things the Holts do best is, they're very, very communicative. They're very, very kind people, generally speaking. And so this is a knife that is absolutely wonderful. I am super, super impressed by it. There's always, especially when you spend a good chunk of change. By the way, I'm not going to give the price just because I don't know what they would charge in the future for something like this, and I know that the Bolsterlocks are a pretty limited thing anyways. But nevertheless, knowing full well all of that, I am super, super impressed. There's always that fear that it's not going to be what you thought it was going to be when you get it, but no, they just knocked it out of the freaking park. And, it's even easier to show that fact in video when you see this beautiful reflectivity, when you see the uniformity of the finishes across all of these pieces. I mean, I guess the biggest issue is just the fingerprint thing, but you know what? I really don't care. This is a beautiful knife. It was a beautiful knife in my pocket yesterday for opening boxes and envelopes, the usual for life. And it will remain a beautiful knife in my collection for a good long time to come. I am very, very impressed with this. I mean, everybody, I think, knows at this point that the Holts are doing great work, but damn, this is sort of a level that even I was wondering whether they would be able to get up to, and holy crap, did they. So anyways, not that I need to give these kind folks any more hype, but holy crap, I'm impressed. If you ever have the opportunity to do something like this, I would not be, I would highly, highly recommend it. Check out their stuff at shows. They've been bringing a lot to shows lately, which is great. But anyways, check out their stuff. Consider it, because I'm just freaking blown away. But more importantly for the rest of you all, do remember that this little guy right here, this Specter right here, is going to be going up for a charitable auction before too long here. So watch this space. This is a great chance to get not only a Specter that I have owned and carried, it's in fact the Specter that opened the box for this one. It's a symbolic thing, right? But also one that was donated entirely out of charitable goodness, and that's an absolutely beautiful thing. So keep an eye out for this guy, and keep an eye out for this guy in my pocket, hopefully for many years to come. So, Holtz, thank you very much. Really, really excellent work. Everybody else, hope you enjoyed the little bit of, I suppose, knife, well, yeah, this is knife porn, let's be real here. And mostly, I hope that you have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.